Oop, I forgot to enable sound. Shit. Share screen. Can you hear the sound?
I can.
The payments due, John.
Okay, let's see here now. Welcome everybody to our live stream this evening. We are going to be talking about UFOs and the Bigfoot connection. If there is one, I would like to introduce one of my guests who has kindly showed up. His name is, what's your name? Jax?
Jax from Paranormal Underworld. Thank you for having me.
You're more than welcome. We do have a couple more guests that are going to come onto the live, but they're not here yet. So bear with us. And when they come on, we'll bring them into the mix. Okay, tonight I wanted to discuss the idea that there is a possibility that UFOs and Bigfoot sightings have a correlation of some kind, a connection. A lot of people have been reporting UFO sightings and then seeing Bigfoot in the same area at the same time. I do have some clips that I will play for you, and we can see what these clips say first, and then after that we'll have an open discussion, and we will talk with the panelists and as well with the people in the chat. Hi, Renee. Thanks for coming. Hi, Joe. All righty, here we go. Here's our first clip. Residents of Dulce, New Mexico, claim they have seen UFOs and Bigfoot in the same area.
Dulce is a quiet, unassuming town nestled in northern Mexico.
Hold on a minute here.
It's
I gotta do this over share screen. You would think they would make this easier. Okay. Okay. All right, make it big screen. Here we go. Can you hear it, Jax?
No, I can't.
You can't. Okay, I'll start over. Hold on a minute. God dang it. We're going to start over the video. For some reason, we can't get it to play.
Oops. It appears UFO man has left the building. Well, it's going to be an interesting show. Stay tuned until we get the ball rolling here.
I booted myself. All right. Here we go. We'll try again. And we got VERNVISION. Welcome, Vern. Can you hear me, Vern? Nope, guess not. All righty. Okay, we're going to try to get that other video up and running again. Let's see what we can do. Share audio. Share. You need to see this video. People in Dulce say strange things are happening there. Here we go.
Better from that spaceship. And then two small people started climbing down.
Jerry Julian says she had her first extraterrestrial encounter right here on her Dulce Ranch about 40 years ago.
It was huge. I just saw the bottom of it. You know, it was like flat like this.
Many of her neighbors claim similar strange sightings.
Flat in the middle and kind of like rounded on the sides. You're speechless, you know? You just don't know what to think, you know? It's just like, it's like nothing you've ever encountered before.
Why are stories of the extraordinary ordinary here?
I do know. Probably kind of that big mountain we have right there, yeah.
Rumor has it there is a secret base hidden underneath the Archuleta Mesa here. The mountain overlooks Dulce. Some people in town say the base is run by aliens working with our federal government to conduct mind control and genetic experiments. Do you believe that?
Jax.
Well, a whole bunch of
Yes, sir.
I'm going to leave you a comment in the private
steam coming out of it.
They also claim they've seen some creatures cooked up in those experiments, like Bigfoot and something half human.
Down this way, the waist down, it's a goat. It has a tail. But up here, it's a man.
People tell me Dulce wasn't always a center for supernatural activity, but then sometime in the 70s, things changed. That's when cows started turning up mutilated.
They just cut out in between the legs. Right here, we seen one.
I know it's not a predator. It's doing it. There's someone's doing it.
Local police never definitively said who's to blame. Locals say it has to be something out of this world. And since then,
I was taking a random picture, zoomed it in.
Do you hear an echo, Jax?
UFO right there.
they say
I do not.
sounds crazy.
They're just going to ask me, well, how much did you drink or what did you drink?
I'll submit to a lie detector test or anything, you know?
But say it's the truth. Question is, do you believe?
Anything impossible these days now.
In Dulce, Megan Cruz, KOAT Action 7 News.
Okay, well, that's one clip.
I do not have Tommy on my private and Facebook, so I can't
Okay.
send him the link.
I can't access Messenger, so I can't send them a link either. Here, I'm going to have you take over the show, and I will send them a link. Okay?
All right, I guess the echo is coming from your side.
My side?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a link right above there, Tommy.
Yeah, I put the link in the comments, Tommy. I'll do it again. There it is. It's in the comments if you see it there. Oh, good. There you are, Tommy. Good. Welcome to the stream, Tommy.
Thank you. How are you?
Good. Kind of a rough start, but we're getting. There's an echo, and I can't figure it out. Kind of a rough start, but we're getting. There's an echo, and
Yeah. It's coming from you, Tim.
yeah, I don't know how to.
Browser open.
I was muted on both screens and we are still having a squeal.
Okay, is your player muted on YouTube?
I was muted on both screens and we are still having a squeal.
Okay, is your player muted on YouTube?
I was muted on both screens and we were still having a squeal. Yes, it is. It's muted on YouTube. Joe, I did mute YouTube.
Try unplugging your headset and plugging it back in.
Hold on a minute.
Unplug your headset and plug it back in, man.
Well, that didn't do it.
That didn't do it, did it? Okay, let me
Got
do
better.
this. Let me do this. Hold on. I'll do this. It might be that I have a whole bunch of videos queued. Let me do this. Hold on. I'll do this. How's that? Better?
Yeah, might be.
I don't know what it is because how's that? Better?
Yep.
From stream. I don't know what it is because is the echo gone? No.
It's gotten better, but it's not completely gone.
I don't know what's causing it. Hey, Vern. Can't seem to correct the echo.
Have everyone mute and then unmute one at a time.
Okay. Can't seem to correct the echo. Okay, I'm unmuted.
Yeah, I'm unmuted. You're an echo?
No.
I'm unmuted.
No echo. Are you unmuted, Tommy?
No, I'm not. We hear echo?
No.
Yeah, I hear one.
Oh, I hear a small one. Yeah.
No, I'm not.
Yeah,
there's delay.
You sure you don't have any players open? If you have a player open, it'll play on the player.
I have no players open. All my players are shut down.
Okay, is this any better? Am I speaking any better now?
No, it's still the same on my side.
How about now? No.
Better.
Are you on a phone, Tommy?
I'm sorry?
Are you on a phone or a PC?
No. PC, laptop.
Try dropping back out and come back in. Sometimes the settings on PCs they act up. I've just noticed that sometimes it just. Are you on you're on a regular PC, right? Not an Apple.
No, I'm actually no. God, I'm an American. I'm on a PC. Don't let the brain fool you.
Yeah,
I'm on a PC.
I try to just try to go out and go back in, and that sometimes corrects it. I don't know why the PCs.
I don't hear it anymore from me. I'm hearing it from your end now, though, Haas. Is anybody else hearing it from me?
No, I don't.
No.
I think it's Vern. Yeah. See, we can all talk amongst yourselves.
And I'm muted, dude.
Well, mute yours for a second. Mute yours for a second, Vern. Let's see if we can all hear each other.
Here, I'll mute mine.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Everybody can hear that?
Yeah, it's coming from Tim. When Tim.
Okay, yep, I hear it. You're right. I hear you fine now. It's Tim.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
Then one of us talks, it comes back. It's echoing on
When
you.
you interact is when I hear it.
Make sure your settings are correct and you're under your cam settings there. And make sure you only have one mic going.
Yeah, I have one mic going.
No, try changing it like the default, or if it's on default, then change it to. Sometimes it just does that. It flips. I don't know why. It flips the script on it.
Audio. Default.
I think that two
It's
mics.
on,
I think
it's,
that two
it's
mics.
on default, actually.
Yeah, it's bad. It's like you got a delay. You got to have either a player open or a mic. It's too much of a delay to be like recycling. It's like it's
How is
delayed
it now?
5 seconds.
How is it now?
It's still hear it.
Mm,
Yeah, I can hear myself talking. And it's like about a 2-second delay. So like what you should do maybe is just restart your computer. Go, just stop at. We'll wait for you. Restart your computer. It'll close. It might be something running in the background that you're not seeing.
okay, all right. So somebody has to take over the stream, please.
Mighty Mo.
Go
Tommy.
ahead. Go ahead, Vern.
What did I do?
Go ahead, Vern. You can take over the stream. I will be back shortly. I apologize to the chat. There is something going on with my audio. I'm going to try to correct it before I come back. Okay.
It happens. When you do it all the time, it happens even, believe it or not.
Now, how do I kick myself out?
You hit that the garbage can. It should be a garbage can.
There is no garbage can on mine.
That's weird.
Just go out of it. Just close your window down. Just close the window down and restart your machine.
Oh, I got it. Yeah, okay.
Smash it with a guitar, man. Smash it with a guitar.
Right.
So, anything new and exciting? Nothing.
Well, I actually once placed third in the 5th grade talent show. I did.
Really? And what was that?
After the 80s, I don't remember. I just know mom and dad were proud for some reason.
Put a little warm-up music in until Timmy comes back. Sorry if I stand up, though. I can't play sitting down.
Yeah, there's people in the chat that are still saying that there's an echo.
Well, they might be delayed. They might be watching like ask them if they still see.
No, they can't see Tim. You're already standing up with the guitar.
I kind of still hear a little echo at times, like a little jarbly. Not now, but like maybe when you're talking, I think it opens your mic and maybe that's what's coming through.
I don't know.
So this is why I don't like USB mics. Either USB mics. I like the
I'm
old.
hearing it too.
Yeah, I never had that problem.
Let me mute my gear here. Let me see what happens.
Hello? 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 Still hear it. Try unmuting Jax just for a second.
I'm going to mute myself.
Okay.
Tommy, unmute yourself.
Testing?
I'm back.
Testing?
I'm in a state of confusion. Whoa.
I don't hear it.
Me neither.
Make sure you're on that settings, on the page. It's on the mic settings. You know what I mean? It's not on default. Like flip it back and forth a couple times because that sometimes corrects that. Jackson,
okay. Is there an echo?
We think we found it.
I don't hear it now.
No echo?
Nope.
No.
Good. I had to restart my machine.
I think we have like a gremlin or something and it just like bounces around because Jack's had a little bit of a gerbil too.
Okay, well, I want to introduce everybody on the panel. Please go around and introduce yourselves, please, and let us know about your channels and what you're doing.
You just name us off. Because everybody's different. They're in a different.
Okay, the one to my right is Jax, or well, he's Jax from Paranormal Underworld, and then below him is Tommy, Highway, an author and visionary and ufologist. And then to the left of Tommy is Vern from VERNVISION Truth Network, and he's a ufologist, visionary, and researcher. And I forgot to say, Jack's up in the corner there. He is also a well-known talk show host. So give it up for the panel. And
the echo again.
Very nice to be here again. Thank you.
Yeah, it's bad. It just got really bad all of a sudden.
It came back.
Try mute again. Try mute again. I just want to see if it's you. Hello. Echo. Hello. No, it's not.
Echo.
Is it? I still hear it. I still hear it.
Echo, 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 echo.
1, 2. 1, 2. I still hear it. Just barely. Right there. Hear it?
Yeah, I hear it a little bit now.
Yeah.
The only thing I could do is to jump off, shut my phone off, turn it back on, and come back on.
So it's not me this time.
Well, yeah, I mean, we don't know though. He's got to have to mute his and see if yours is still doing it.
Agreed.
We're never going to get this.
Well, you know, it's not my fault that you gave away your better computer.
Are we live?
Yes, we're live. Yes, we are.
We're live.
Yeah, we're live. And we apologize to everybody in the chat. We are trying really hard to get this up and running. Let's just start anyways.
I think Jax, that's my gut instinct. Jax, if you jump out and come back in, buddy, I think you're the only thing that hasn't changed in the issue, if you don't mind. That might be
Not at all.
We're talking the same music.
Thanks, Jax.
You know what I mean? If we all mute, then we won't be reverberating either. So
okay, any echo? No.
I'm good. How about me? Me.
Me. It's not me either.
It's not me either. I don't think
it's Jax. We had trouble because he was using his headphones, the earbuds.
Well, yeah, but this StreamYard stuff is buggy though. The StreamYard stuff is buggy, especially with phones. I noticed that.
Right, I know.
I'm gonna restart my computer too because I just make sure, you know. So I'll be right back.
Okay. So people in the chat, do you hear an echo? Are we cleared up? Okay. All right, Robert Farmer, welcome to the chat. Yes, we are going to get started on the UFO Bigfoot connection. I have 3 theories, some better than others. My first theory is that Bigfoot is part of an indigenous species that is still yet to be classified publicly by those that know, and exists on our planet, maybe even at the time of primordial man, and just had a different evolutionary path. And when there are UFO sightings, like a moth to a flame, these Bigfoot are attracted to the lights and the sounds like we are to the lights and the sounds of a UFO sighting as well. So perhaps the reason why people are seeing Bigfoot in and around UFO encounters is just a coincidence because they're curious. They are observing what is going on. That's my first theory. Second theory is, and this is based on reports that I've read, that people are seeing Bigfoot creatures entering and exiting actual landed alien vehicles. Now, I can't prove this, but if it's actually happening, okay, then what I can say to you is this. They're either being abducted like we are as human beings, or perhaps they are being brought here and removed from time to time by an alien craft. Those are my ideas. Now, the reason why I say they might be removed is because you don't see them all the time. They're around once in a great while. We seem to have lost Tommy. Here he comes.
Do you hear an echo now?
Do you hear an echo?
Again, please.
Yes, I hear an echo.
Can you hear an echo when I speak?
No.
Jax, would you mind? I'm hearing a delay.
Yeah, I hear a delay. So anyways, getting on with what I was saying, no, I don't think he's a moth. I'm saying that Bigfoot may possibly very well not be from Earth, although I'm leaning more toward the indigenous species just being curious and being like a moth to a flame, being attracted to the lights and the sounds of some type of UFO encounter in the area. What is your opinion, Vern?
I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes,
okay.
We can hear you.
Two things. Jax, if you were using a player, or if you were watching the stream or with a player at all, it could be running in your background. It's just going to let you know if you didn't, you know what I mean?
No, I just shut my phone off. I just shut my phone off and turned it back on, and I'm here and I'm muted. So whatever you're hearing is not coming from me.
No, I wasn't talking about this second. As a minute ago with all that.
He sounded pretty good that time.
You sounded good then. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, what was your question now?
My question is, what is your opinion concerning Bigfoot in regards to the correlation between Bigfoot and UFO sightings?
Well, I've expressed the fact that I've actually seen something out there that made me believe that they're using Sasquatches as a laboring species for maybe subterranean excavation. The reason being is that machines make a lot of noise, and people can dig underneath the ground and produce a very little amount of noise. And these would be perfectly made beings for working in subterranean work because they don't require clothing. They have a rudimentary language. They can be trained to do stuff. They have extreme strength, very powerful, and they also apparently are nocturnal, or their eyes see very well in dark. So working subterranean would be something to kind of consider. Now, what would they be doing underground? I mean, there's a variety of things, you know. I mean, if they were to dig out a possible, you know, a base or something, you know, technology we take for granted. You know, sometimes even with the greatest technology in the world, it still requires labor. And I think that, you know, the beings that placed us on this planet had technology that was so beyond our capabilities or comprehension, but they still needed slaves to do ornate work or whatever. You can't, I guess you can't equate a human or a living being to a machine in some aspects, because machines are precision and they do precision things, but they don't have possibly like a talent. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to explain it, but there's like, you know, rarely comes along with human beings that you have people that are gifted. and there's no explanation for it. And it's kind of a wondrous thing to watch somebody who's gifted either their craft or whatever. And I think that, you know, the nostalgia maybe in using stuff, you know, I mean, you know, you have to understand, like in mythology, like the Greek mythology, this might seem like it's going off tangent, but what I'm trying to explain is that they were called gods, you know, and they had like they expressed that they were capable of doing like special things, you know, like Zeus could turn himself into an eagle and all these other things, and they had like these powers, right? But they still required people to rule, right?
Right.
And so, and an overseer or whatever, and maybe in our aspects, it's like mother, father, whatever. They spawn us, and they're responsible for us to some degree, but that's their job. You know what I mean? They don't necessarily babysit us, because I think it's kind of more interesting for them to observe us and see what we're going to do and where we're going, than anything else, and try to study that, because, you know, like the randomness of like a human being, like when a human being picks up a set of dice and rolls those dice, they're totally random. But if a machine does it, a machine is set for probability, because they used to program. So maybe there's something to do with why they would do that. I don't know. I just happen to think that, you know, machines require maintenance. They can break down. There's limitations to them, where a machine and an animal, if you could breed an animal to get into a tight quarter where a machine may not be able to work efficiently. I don't know. You know what I mean? And maybe digging ditches is still an art that, you know, I mean, you know, they have machines that dig ditches, but they don't have machines that you still got to have a guy there with a shovel working with the machine that's digging the ditch. You know what I mean?
So are you insinuating possibly here that Bigfoot may be a hybrid creature between something that was pre-existing and something that came here, so that they could be made into underground workers?
Well, the question is, who made who made you? Okay, you know,
right.
Like, seriously, I mean, because they're very similar. They have arms, legs. They're very similar in appearance to us and everything else. So I would have to say that the same people that are responsible for us could be definitely responsible for them. And maybe it's a group. Maybe it's more than one species. Maybe there's several. Maybe there's a galactic, you know, armistice, for all we know. I don't know. You know, I've been out in the desert and I've seen some things out there that, you know, I'm not sure whether I accurately saw it or not. It wasn't close enough, but I know what I was looking at. I know what I was seeing in that aspect, but you know what I mean? Like it, without being really close, like I've been in such close quarters with some of these discs and stuff that I can't deny at all. I mean, I can see them as if I was almost standing next to them. So, I mean, when you get out there and you're at a quarter, a half mile, a mile, 2 miles away, and you're looking through binoculars and it's dark, and you're seeing shadows and you're seeing things, you know, that are, you know, beings or whatever that, I mean, I think they're beings. I don't know if but I don't know what they were doing. They were, you know, like they could have been, my proportions could have been off, but it looked like to me that they were escorting like about 20 Sasquatches, and they looked like they were tall whites. That's all. That's as far as I can really go and speculate, you know, because they had something that was kind of bizarre, and that's that they had the same kind of lightning whip that was in X-Men. Do you remember the guy in X-Men who had the whips? I forget what his name was. You know, he had the
Wolverine.
No, he was the anti-hero that tried to kill X-Men. You know, and he was from Russia.
Oh, yeah.
The guy who was the fighter and all that, who played his what's his name?
I can't.
Yeah, those whips. I don't know if you've seen it. I think it's like X-Men 2. I'm not X-Men. I mean,
I know who you're talking about.
Iron Man 2. Iron Man 2. I'm sorry. They were at the races. Remember, he's like getting ready to race, and the
guy with the whip.
Yeah, the whip. Okay? I saw them holding something very similar to that. It looked like I don't know if it was a whip or not, but it was a lit thing that the guy was holding like this, and they looked like they were all chained together, like, you know what I mean, like connected together. And I just saw them go into where there was lights, like there was lights on the hill, and I couldn't really see if it was a craft or nothing. Like I said, it was late. There wasn't a lot of light, and I came over a ridge and I seen what like light and movement and all that. So I got out and I was observing it, and I'm like, I don't know whether, you know, it was late too. Like I said, you know, sometimes your eyes play tricks. You know, I look out there a lot of times, you know, and if I'm not careful, I can easily be distracted by my own self because of how, you know, everything's moving, you know what I mean, when you're out there. And So you have to be kind of, you get what I call it, like, it's like buck fever. Okay. You get UFO fever, and you have to be careful. It's like anything else. You start seeing them everywhere and everything else. People think you're batshit crazy. And actually, you are at that point. But yeah, I've seen some things out there that make me think that they actually use them as a possible workforce or slave or whatever. I mean, they could escape. Enough could escape to have sightings and stuff like that before they round them up. And you know what I mean?
Right.
And they are incredible. The Sasquatch, from what my neighbor had told me, they move silent. I mean, they're a huge creature and they make no noise at all. He said he didn't hear anything. He said all he heard was that, like, it got quiet, real quiet all of a sudden, like you hear, birds and stuff tweeting, and there was like no birds tweeting. He was like, oh, like this, and he became aware of his area, like something's watching me, and sure enough, it was, it was right there. And where he saw that, I have seen stuff in that area, weird lights and things like that. It's all in a big, general area, but I mean, it's all totally, for a creature like that, it would be absolutely accessible. The whole range here, all the way to Kirkwood, all the way to Ebbets Pass, he could easily cover all that in a day.
So do you believe there is a connection between actual UFO sightings and Bigfoot?
I don't know whether I believe or not. I'm just going like with what makes sense and what I saw. And so I would say that it's a possible theory. It's a possible reason, because like I said, we'd have to have more pairs of them to be breeding, to have an actual living breeding. That's the thing that bothers me, is that there should be more sightings in certain areas, because they'd have mating rituals. They make themselves visible. They'd be doing stuff like, you know what I mean, that would make them a little bit more advertisable. And I know they there's all this knocking and stuff like that, but it's really indiscreet. It's like, you know what I mean? There's not enough of it to make me think like cougars. Okay. I've seen 2 cougars in the wild, and they're really difficult to see in the wild. And there's a lot of them. Okay. And, but they are so freaking careful about avoiding people that usually you have to get them in a situation where, and my situation was that there was a guy it was just a weird situation, but he ran across the road in front of me, and had I not even looked up, I would have missed him. And a Sasquatch can move like that. A Sasquatch, from what I understand, they're dark, and if I spent a lot of times in the mountains, and when you get in the shady areas and all that, it's so hard to see deep into the forest. So, I mean, the cover, and you're dealing with an intelligent human-like person. Okay, now if you had all those characteristics of what a Sasquatch is, do you think you'd get caught by the police or anybody?
Probably not.
No, probably not, unless you made a real bad mistake, or you were really curious, or you were real hungry or something, where you made a mistake. But most of them, they're very adapted, apparently, to their environment. But once again, I would think that we would have, like, they kill cougars, okay? All the time. They kill these things or whatever. Somebody would have killed a Sasquatch right now if they were a breeding, living organism. They weren't being brought in or something like that. That's just my opinion. You know what I mean? Unless they live underground.
I'm sure that they haven't already done that and actually have the evidence locked away, kind of like how that we have aliens locked away.
So you think that they would hide this from us because it's actually uncovering a possible alien conspiracy or something like that?
No, I'm saying perhaps they're hiding it from us so that we don't go out and kill every one of them. Because
if once you find out they're people, they're a primitive person like us, I wouldn't shoot one if my life if I can almost dependent on it. I mean,
aren't there some states that have laws protecting Bigfoot?
It's the only one I know of is Washington.
Washington, okay.
Alaska is maybe talking about it, but see, they have a really they claim there's a heavy concentration of them on Prince William Island, or it's right by British Columbia. It comes down, it's pretty far down, but it's a big island. That's the one where they took the trees and they stuffed them upside down, and there's no way they could have they were old growth trees, and they said they woke up the next morning and the trees were in the ground upside down. They didn't hear a sound or anything. How would that happen? You know what I mean? That's crazy.
Yeah. What do you think about the idea of some type of connection between Bigfoot and UFOs? Jax? Can you hear me, Jax? We can't hear you.
Thank you. Hear me now?
Yeah, can hear you now. Yep.
Okay. I think it's hard possible that there is a connection. There's a lot of reports out there, you know. But at the same time, though, I think that the Pacific Northwest and even the Appalachian Mountain Range, there's enough area to sustain hidden species. It's very isolated. You have a lot of food around, you get streams, rivers, what have you. You know, but then again, the part of the connection is that that they're grunts. They get dropped off and they get picked up.
Like a drone.
But then, well, not necessarily like a drone. I mean, if these things existed pre-whatever, okay, and it's a hidden species, say like the missing link, so to speak, okay, that if this is true, and that's a big if,
right?
Because we've never seen one. We don't know. Nobody knows for a fact that they're 100% real. But if they are, that means that they're under some type of mind control, and they're being picked up and dropped off.
Right. So that would be the connection then.
Correct. Like a grunt, like the worker.
Okay. Tommy, what do you think about this idea?
Well, and Tim is aware of my particular thoughts on the subject of Bigfoot. I'm a bit of a skeptic. However, I will say that I remember my grandfather taking me out to a movie back in the early 70s or middle 70s. And what was that Bigfoot? Let me think here. Do I have it? I think I do. Hang on a second. I'll pull it right up. Anyway, he took me to a Bigfoot movie. So he was a big believer in Bigfoot. I don't know that he'd ever told me a story that he'd actually ever seen Bigfoot or interacted with anything like that, but he was into it. Now, years later, when I was in college, college age, let's say, I had a girlfriend that swore, and she's a very credible person. She swore that she'd seen a Bigfoot when she was a young girl in Iowa. And so, I mean, there may or may not be some credibility to the whole Bigfoot thing is what I'm saying. But what I will say, and I'm looking at articles here, and there does seem to be some sort of a correlation between UFOs and Bigfoot. I'm trying to figure out how to share my screen here, but
there should be a share screen like button down below.
Let me find it. Here we go.
Just click on that. And when you share your screen, if you're just showing an image, you don't have to worry about it. But if you're showing a video, you need to click that enable audio box.
Can you hear me?
Yes, can.
Okay.
Yep.
This will be the first one I'm sharing with you.
Let's see if I can bring this up. I don't see it.
Let me try this again.
Okay, anyways, what is the article about?
My point being, here we go. I'm going to try this one more time.
Oh, yeah,
okay, my point being is that there seem to be, there we go. There is a link right there. There seem to be a great deal of articles regarding the fact that there are Bigfoot, that the Bigfoot and UFO, there's more than I think a coincidence there. And if you roll down, there's so much of a correlation. Let me get rid of this crap. so much of a correlation between the two. I mean, interdimensional Bigfoot theories. I mean, if you think about it, okay, let me put it this way. Can you still hear me, Tim?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, great. Okay, think of it this way. Imagine if you were going to create a terrarium as a person.
Right.
And you took let's say a 20-gallon fish tank, and you filled it with multiple different creatures, couple different environments, that sort of thing. One side's hot, one side's cold, or whatever. That would be a hell of an experiment to see how they interacted, would you not think?
Right.
So imagine if in fact, our entire species, the human species, Homo sapien, was in fact a product of genetic engineering, which there are many theories on. Would it be possible? Well, okay, let me put it this way. Imagine if you were to be able to go back in time and grab an animal from this time, let's say grab a squirrel, take it back 10,000 years, drop it off into the wilderness and watch its reaction, watch how it reacts to the Earth 10,000 years ago, which, as we all know, is going to look a whole lot different than it does today.
Right.
Imagine if you could do that. So, I mean, is it possible that, that an alien race is bringing these creatures back here to interact with a different environment just to study them? Yeah. I mean, it's certainly logical. Then again, could Bigfoot be something that that we haven't seen yet? Could it be some sort of a primate or a northern ape that is so reclusive and so sparsely populated, let's say, that we just haven't run into it yet?
Right.
It's hard to say, but there does seem to be a correlation, and I can see like the Navajo Times over here is another one, where they're actually talking about this. And the Navajo seem to think there's something going on, a correlation between UFOs and Sasquatch. But at the end of the day, who knows?
Right. So it's like I was saying to a couple of you earlier today, that it seems like UFOs and Bigfoot are in the realm of speculation. It's pretty much speculation. Mm-hmm. I would say that since we can't really prove either concept, I would have to lean toward what Vern was saying and what you were saying and what Jax was saying, that cumulatively the theory is that we think that Bigfoot was some type of slave worker for an alien race here on Earth. And may have been hybridized along the way from a species that already pre-existed here. We cannot prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that Bigfoot is real, but there are people out there that claim that they have seen something and it was very real to them. So I'm leaning toward the fact that I think that Bigfoot is not the legendary, quote unquote, monster that he's made out to be. I believe that he is an upright bipedal ape species that's more man than ape and does exist in North America and elsewhere, but has just not been classified as of yet. Does everybody seem to agree with that in the panel?
Yes. Yes.
If I may, and
okay, you may.
Forgive me. Again, being the skeptic on the Bigfoot thing, probably on the panel, to be honest, I would have some questions about, all these trail cams that hunters have out there now. I mean, the wilderness is being captured on video. Excuse me, 4K video, and I'm sort of wondering where all the Bigfoot pictures are, that sort of thing. Now, again, the credible people have come out and they've said they've seen it. I know people that have certainly seen it, and I'm looking at a map of my home state of Iowa, and there are, I mean, I was really surprised when I looked at this, how many counties in the state of Iowa actually have sightings of Bigfoot. And I think we're having a little bit of an issue with sharing, I think. But I mean, it's wild how many counties there are. Now there's either crazy people. Now when they say a Bigfoot sighting, what they mean is it's not just, oh hey, I just saw something big in the woods, because that could be a bear, that could be whatever, your Uncle Cletus, whatever, right? It's Iowa.
Right, it could be.
Right, but when I say sightings, they have like castings. They have some physical evidence. I'd be very interested in seeing if there was any DNA evidence collected. But these foot castings, I mean, you see some of those, and they've been around since the 70s, and some of them awfully convincing, to be honest.
I don't know what show it was, but it was either like Unexplained Mysteries or something like that, where I think it was on the History Channel, where they went and they put a board with nails on it outside a cabin that was frequented supposedly by Bigfoot. And they left it there. They went back a month later, and they found hair and blood on the actual board, on the nails. And they took it back, and they said that it was a cross. They came up with human DNA and ape mixed in that hair and blood sample. Now, how you classify that, I don't know. But it was an actual evidence that they had. Now, scat has been found that has like an ape DNA structure. Problem with that is there are gorillas and apes living in the wild in North America. There are gorillas and apes living in the wild. We got an echo. There are gorillas and...
Not me.
We're gonna have to mute again, see who's got that.
No, that was me on that one. Sorry.
Okay. Anyways, so it's difficult to tell what is a real, quote unquote, Bigfoot sighting and what is an escaped zoo animal or somebody's pet.
I actually have another theory, Tim, if you don't mind.
Okay, go ahead, Jax.
I mean, just like, okay, I'm a paranormal investigator. I investigate all things paranormal. We're talking about UFOs, Bigfoot, ghosts, cryptids, whatever, you name it, I investigate it. One of the theories that I have, and it's not just geared to a ghost, is that these could be like two things also. It could be interdimensional beings, or they come in on, like, say, a timeline, but those timelines overlap.
Oh, yeah, that's possible.
So they could, like, just step through.
Oh, so that's how they disappear.
Possible that there's something underground that could be doing that, because in Shasta, there's a lot of sightings. Mount Shasta. There's these little miniature people there that are supposed to live there. I know it sounds crazy, but they're like a foot tall, a foot and a half tall, and they're supposed to be like they got stuck here, stranded, and they supposedly know something about it. The natives that used to they only talked to a couple shaman. And the shaman used to say that they knew where the Sasquatch was from or something like that. And I don't know. I mean, you hear legends and lore, but it's just like another, thing that they said. So maybe it is. Maybe they do come through something. The Earth is really a mysterious thing, and we haven't really been able to even know what's on the bottom of the ocean floor, let alone what could be underneath the plates and everything else in here,
Hey, Vern, can you tell the story about that guy? Where was he from? Guam?
First of all, again, hold on. Let's see.
7-1, what are you reporting?
Something crawling around out here.
Did you see what it was? Was it a person person or an animal, or?
I can't tell. All I know is that my central light came on, and I just happened to glimpse and see this thing running across the yard. A good-sized man, or something that looks like a man. I don't know what it was. Just that it ran across the yard.
Okay. You've had problems in the neighborhood before?
Yeah, my dog was killed here just recently. I don't know what it was. Whatever it is, it's running. I couldn't catch it if I was going to chase it. So whatever it was, it was standing up. I'm out here looking through the window now, and I don't see anything. I don't want to go outside. Jesus Christ, you better... Sure. Deal.
Hello?
Get somebody out here.
What's going on now, sir?
That son of a bitch is about 6'9". I don't know.
Do you see him now, sir?
Yes, I'm looking right at him.
Uh-oh. Okay, hang on.
He's right.
Is he in your yard, sir?
Yeah, God, he's big.
Okay, what's he doing in your yard?
He's looking at me.
Oh, and the guy is on foot.
I don't know what. It's a big, real big person. That's all I can say.
Okay, but it is a person.
Yeah, I'd say it was a person, somebody really big. But he's all in black.
Yeah. Is he a black male or a white male? Did you actually see what it, or was he just wearing black?
He's all black and he's big. He is big.
Wow.
It was
Cool
Tim.
report. Yeah.
6'9" or something. You know, he needs 6'9" or something, because if he had told him the real height, they would have said he's a crackpot, right? Because he would have said it's 8.5 feet tall.
Now, there is, back in the 70s, there is a town in California that put a rule up in the town, a law, that you can be, if you shoot and kill a Bigfoot, you can be brought up on murder charges.
Yeah, I know that the state of Washington has that, actually has a law like that. I don't know about California, but I know Washington. Bluff Creek is where the original sighting that they got on film was. And they've had a lot of sightings there, even recently. I was tripping one out the other day. It's still a pretty hot place, I guess, apparently. But then, you know, there could be hoaxers too.
Right.
Yeah, I know for a fact California had that law. That town that I was just talking about. I can't remember the town off the top of my head.
Okay, well, we do have a second segment to this live stream. We've talked about Bigfoot. Now we're going to go over to the paranormal side of things. I wanted to mention one thing first. I wanted to mention the Bridgewater Triangle in Massachusetts. I think it's in southern Massachusetts. And Jax from Paranormal Underworld used to live inside the triangle. And from what I understand, has done research in that area and has some stories to tell us about Bigfoot and UFOs and whatnot. Jack.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Go ahead. You have the floor.
Thank you. Bridgewater Triangle is in eastern southern Massachusetts. It goes from top of the triangle, goes from Abington down to.
So, because it's coming back, it's reverberating. So, mute, Tim.
It's me? Okay.
It goes from Abington at the top of the triangle down to the right, which is Freetown, and then over towards Abington, and then back up again. It's a 200 square mile radius. Now, within this trial, there's all kinds of sightings. Let me back up for a minute. The Wampanoag Indian tribe, who is still in that area, they obviously they were fighting with the settlers that came. They ended up burning some towns, including my hometown of Middleborough, Massachusetts, Swansea, Taunton. They completely burned the villages down. They had there was a little swamp in there, and it's not so little. It's 5,000 acres plus. where they thought that they could, hide in there, so when the settlers came through, they would be able to ambush. Rumor has it that the wampum belt was stolen.
Or what is the wampum belt?
Wampum belt is, like, it describes the whole history of the tribe.
Okay.
It's on that belt. Every tribe has one.
Okay.
But it seemed to have disappeared. Nobody knows where it is.
Right.
So the Indians, the Native Americans at that time, put a curse on this Hockomock Swamp area, which is located directly right in the middle of that triangle in Bridgewater. Hockomock means in Wampanoag, place where spirits dwell.
Okay.
Fitting, huh?
Yes. Now, are there UFO and Bigfoot sightings in the Hockomock Swamp or in the Triangle?
There are lights that are seen in the swamp. There have been Bigfoot sightings. There have been UFO sightings. There have been sightings of thunderbirds. There are sightings of aliens. There's sightings.
Could you say what a thunderbird is? Maybe people don't know what that is.
A thunderbird is, like, some people have their own variations of it. It could be just like a huge bird of prey that could have some of the reports that I've seen that have like an 18-foot wingspan, if longer.
You're talking like twice as big as a condor.
Probably 5 times as big as a condor.
Wow.
Where some reports, not in the Bridgewater Triangle, but some reports other places in the United States are having similar sightings. One particular sighting was that tried to pick up a 10-year-old boy.
Wow.
So that just gives you a clue on how big the thunderbirds are. But what I was seeing is the snakes as big as stovepipes. I mean,
so
huge, bigger.
Bigger. Wow.
They got black dogs with red eyes.
Wow. So it's a lot like the Skinwalker Ranch.
It's similar, but legend has it is that all these sightings will not cease until the wampum belt is returned.
Okay.
But it's like, as far as who coined it, the Bridgewater Triangle, it was the legend himself, cryptozoologist Lauren Coleman.
Okay.
He was living in California. He moved to Bridgewater. Moved to Cambridge, and he started hearing all these cases that were coming up from this little known area. So he went down and started investigating it, and he determined that it was in the shape of a triangle. And these sightings were happening inside the triangle. Right. Now, back in Massachusetts, when I was part of a paranormal investigating team, we determined and we found that this Bridgewater Triangle is growing in size.
Yeah, you said that.
It's still a triangle, but the sides are growing. It's like moving outwards like this.
Wow. And is that indicative because of sightings?
Yes. Yes, we've had cases where, like, it was just on the outskirts, but they were like, our clients at the time were telling us what their claims were, so we went there and investigated it, and we backed up their findings or their claims, and then we started realizing a pattern that you know, where our cases were. Say, if this is one of the sides, our cases were out here, so we would just move the edge of the triangle, the side of the triangle out more, and it was growing. So that being said, you know, there's all kinds of stories, and I mean, in 1978, paranormal researcher Joseph M. DeAndre claims to have observed a Bigfoot slowly walking into the bush of the Hockomock Swamp, about 200 yards from his location. He chronicled his sightings in his 1997 book, Passing Strange, True Tales of New England Hauntings and Horrors.
Wow. So the Bridgewater Triangle is a very active place, both for paranormal encounters as well, I hear.
Yes. Yes, I know a number of people that go there. I mean, they go in there by themselves. They don't think it's anything to worry about. But as an investigator myself, it is unwise to go into a location by yourself. Because God forbid, if anything happens, you go into a building or something and there's a hole in the floor and you don't see it. Bye-bye.
Right.
Who's going to pick up the phone and call?
Right.
You're there by yourself.
Right.
So, therefore, where it's a swamp, you know, there could be quicksand out there. You don't know what the heck's out there.
Right. So go with someone.
Go with somebody. But those people that I was just talking about, they have caught EVPs of voices, EVPs, electronic voice phenomena.
In and around the swamp?
In and around the swamp, correct.
Wow. That's very interesting. Thank you for your story, Jack.
You're welcome.
Tommy, you said that you had a couple stories you wanted to tell us this evening in regards to the paranormal. You have the floor.
Okay. Well, there is something I would like to share, I suppose. I wasn't a believer in the paranormal. I wasn't a believer in the afterlife or anything like that. I just, I didn't really grow up in a particularly religious house, to be honest. And it was the early 80s. I was just a kid. I was about 14 at this point. And I had a friend. We lived in an area right in between Cincinnati and Dayton, Ohio, right on the what we call the Miami River, Little Miami River. And my buddy, a good friend of mine, he lived across the bridge in like the old section of town. When I say old section, I mean this place has been around since before the Civil War. Talking about big Victorian houses, that sort of thing. In fact, it was so old that it was rumored that the entire area had been used to, as part of the Underground Railroad to free the slaves back in the day. His particular house had a tunnel in the basement. We were always afraid to go back in there, but it went back a pretty long ways. And at some point, it probably went all the way back to the riverbank. And it was, so it was a real historic neighborhood, let's say. Well, my buddy's mother was never around. He was a teenager. She was very attractive. His parents were divorced, and she was always, all over the world with somebody else, some guy, I guess.
Right.
And so we had a lot of time to party there. And as it happened, let's say about 10 miles up the road in another town, again, this is 84, a new teenage nightclub had opened up. No alcohol, but it was like a dance club for teenagers. So we all loaded up. There was 4 of us. We loaded up and went up there and danced the night away with the girls or whatnot. I had a great time. Actually, I had a wonderful time that night. Wonderful time. This would have been one of my fondest memories, frankly, of my teenage years if this hadn't happened. But we get back to his house, and it's real old place, real nice place, but real old place. We get back to his family home, and we're sitting in the kitchen. And it's a square table, like a square kitchen table in there. And there were three of us. Well, there were four of us, myself and three others. And we're talking, laughing, bullshitting, getting high, frankly. And that just as a disclosure, just putting that out there. But all of a sudden, I'm sitting, the table is set like the guy that owned the place was sitting right next to me. My back is to the front door. There's like a hallway that goes into the front door, and the kitchen is toward the back of this house. So my back's to the wall. I got the guy that his mom owns a place sitting to my right. Another person that we know, the class president actually, is sitting right across from me. So he's looking down this hallway. And the guy that was driving that night, he was sitting to my left. He couldn't see down the hallway.
Right.
We're laughing, talking, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, the guy that was right across from me, again, this is our class president of our high school. He's talking, laughing, and he just gets this look on his face, and it just gets real quiet. And we're looking. And at this point, nobody really noticed, but I noticed right away because I'm sitting right across from him. These two guys that cross from each other are, BSing. And I'm looking at him, and he just got this look on his face, looking down this hall to the front door. I'm like, and so I got the guy whose mom owned the house. Let's call him Bob. I shook him. I'm like, hey, man, what's wrong with Rick? Let's call him Rick. What's wrong with Rick? And he's like, and he looks over at Rick. So he's sitting like this, and he looks over to his would have been right to look at Rick. Then he looks down the hallway to his left. He jumps up, boom, jumps up, and he jumps up on the counter of like a bunch of kitchen counters, big kitchen. He jumps up on one of the kitchen counters, right? You get this horrified look on his face. And I look at the other guy that's on my left, and he's looking at me like, what's going on here? So I remember turning around, and I look, and I jumped up. And the guy that was on my left that couldn't see anything, he jumps up from his seat. He runs around, and he stopped on a dime when he saw what we were all looking at. I mean, down the hall of this house, right at the front door, there was this, what I can only describe as an entity, I guess. There was this thing, and it was standing there. It was free floating. You could see a form of a person to it, and it had arms, but it kind of faded out, let's say about the waistline or whatever. Then it kind of just faded down into like more of the vapor sort of a thing. Wow. I'm looking at this thing. We're all looking at the thing. Nobody said a damn word. Nothing. Nobody said a thing.
Wow.
We're looking at this, and then the guy whose mom owned the house, Bob, he sleeps or slinks over the kitchen counter because that's where his butt was. So he jumps down, and we all kind of start moving down the hall together. And his down the hall there was this one of those hallway tables. I don't know if you've ever seen these things, but for whatever reason, some hallways had like this table, and it's got some like knickknacks on it. Well, you know those glass bead things? Those, they're like in a glass jar, and there's like these glass beads in it, right?
Right.
Big thing back in the 80s.
Right.
And as we're moving toward this thing real slow, and we're all behind him, we're all behind Bob. I was scared to death. Like that was the last one through the door, truth be told. But the beads in those glass jars, they start vibrating, and they got louder and louder and louder. And I mean, I thought they were going to break. I thought that the jars were going to break. And all of a sudden, Bob runs up to it. He runs about to about 5 feet away from it. All of a sudden, this thing stops, and it looks, and you can see it turn. You can see this thing turn. You can see it had enough features that you could tell what it was doing. It was looking right at us at that point, because before then it didn't even pay us any mind. It looked at us. All of a sudden, it shoots straight up the stairs. Like there's like big staircase there, like an old house would have, and it just shoots up the stairs, and it's gone.
Wow.
And everybody just stood there, and we didn't say a damn thing. I mean, what can you say?
Right.
We just saw this thing happen. So then it was like, okay, let's go upstairs and see if we can find this thing.
Right.
So, you know, he grabbed a weapon of some kind of umbrella, I think it was. Yeah, it was an umbrella. And we all kind of slinked upstairs. This is a big house, probably 4 bedrooms, 5 bedrooms up there. We all go through the bedrooms, couldn't find anything. Everything was perfectly fine. Nothing was out of place. So we came downstairs, and again, we're all kind of shocked by this. I was scared to death. I was scared shitless, actually. And then one of the guys, our class president friend, he said, I'll tell you what, here's what we're going to do. Get some pens and crayons or pencils or whatever and some paper. Let's all go to a different room down here, downstairs in the house, because nobody was going back upstairs.
Right.
Downstairs, and let's all draw what we just witnessed, what we just saw. And so we all did that. We all got in different places and drew what we did. And although none of us were artists by any stretch, it was clear that we all saw and drew the same damn thing. I mean, it was what it was, and I was never. I don't even know if I still am a believer in the afterlife, but something, I don't know what that was, but it was real. It was standing there. It was something that was unusual.
Wow.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know if I could deal with that. I wouldn't stay in that house very long.
No.
You said you had one other story that you wanted to tell?
Well, I do, but I was thinking maybe we'd save that for a different podcast.
Okay, we can do that.
I had something in mind for that. I mean, if that's okay.
No, that's fine. All righty, here, let me pop this back up. Bring Vern back in.
Now there is one other story.
Yeah.
That save for another broadcast, because I can send you pictures on it.
Okay, bring the pictures. That'd be great. Personally, I only have firsthand accounts, no pictures. So the only accounts I've had is where I live, there are no cats. And yet I have seen cats in my apartment. I have seen cats in the lobby, and there are no cats in the building. So either I'm hallucinating on some good drugs, or I'm seeing ghost animals. So I'm not the only one that has seen them. There have been other people as well. They'll look down and see a black cat, and then look up, back down, cat's gone. I don't see ghosts in the sense of people. I only see animals, so I don't know what's up with that. But the only other experience I've had is where I've had my shoes moved when I put them down at the base of my bed to take a nap, and they'll be moved. Or I've had something I put down, like a set of keys or something like that. They'll be moved, and 5 minutes later, they're back where I put them. Other than that, I haven't really had any paranormal experiences. Yes, Tommy.
I just thought of a great story, and it's, I don't know if you want to call it paranormal or what, but I just thought of this. Back in the late 70s and early 80s, I don't know if those of you that can remember back that far, there used to be a hockey game. And it was a hockey game that you set on a table, and it's made out of metal, and you had like several different guys on it, and you moved your pieces in and out, and they were like on tracks. Okay, anybody familiar with this?
Yes.
You run it forward, and and it turns, so you slap the puck and whatever. Man, we wore this thing out. I mean, we like the hard puck, we wore it down to the nub, where we have to actually write the company to get them to sell us another puck for $4.95. This is like I inherited this from my family, so we'd had it for a long time. Well, a buddy of mine, good friend of mine, he was a neighbor for a bunch of years. He came over, and we used to wear this thing out. I had it on the kitchen table, and we just pop, pop, pop. And we just, something about this, it was just super fun. And he would come over, and he would take off. He was a graduate of the Naval Academy, okay? had a big ring on his finger, right? And every time he would come over before we play this thing, because the handles got in the way of this ring or whatever, or wait a minute, no, his ring was cutting the handles. That's what it was. So he would, the little handles for the little, the guys, right? The players. So he he would take this ring off and he would set it right there, and we'd, jam on this thing for hours. And then when we're finished, he'd pick his ring up, put it back on, and walk away, go home, whatever, right? Well, and we did this, I don't know how many times. I don't know how many hundreds of times, how many hours we put into playing this old hockey game, man. We wore out.
Right.
But one day, he came over and we played again and whatnot. And I was going to cook that day, and we're going to have a barbecue that day is what it was. And he took his ring off. We played, and all of a sudden he looked down. His ring's not there. Ring is not there. We looked all over my house. We looked all over my place, never did find it. I even watched my dog take it, do his thing to make sure my Dalmatian, I had Dalmatian at the time, make sure he didn't jump up there and eat it for some reason, which I couldn't imagine. And we never found this ring. Never found it. Never found it. We took this, we shook the game out. We did everything, the whole deal. He was really bummed out about that. He was really bummed out about that. So, years go by, and this is, let's call this 1999. Yeah, 1999. Years go by. I end up moving to Florida, and I break out that same kitchen table. I didn't have the game anymore, the hockey game. I'd gotten rid of it, threw it away, because, like I say, we burned it up. So I'd thrown it away or whatever, but I still had that kitchen table. It was like a family heirloom thing, big black round table from the 1970s, right?
Right.
So I moved to Florida, and I got my new place, excuse me, and I set this table up, and I went on about my life. This is we're talking about 6-7 years later. I came home one day. I was on a business trip for work. I came home one day, and my dog had long since died, and I still had that table. And I remember walking in the house that day, and walked into the kitchen and flipped on the kitchen light, like a galley type of kitchen, and something caught my eye on the table. And I look over, there's something laying there, and I walked over. I found his ring. His ring was laying on that table, and I'd moved twice since then, since that had happened, since he'd lost that.
Wow.
Whatever reason, that ring, and I'm kidding you not, that ring is laying on that damn table.
Wow.
And it took me a hell of a time. It was actually a heck of a time to find him, to give it back to him, but I eventually did. So supernatural, I don't know, but moving twice and 1,100 miles away, I don't know how that happened.
Well, there are several reports of people missing things and then having them returned, like they've been taken and then brought back. Now, yours almost sounds like a time slip, but I don't know. Can't prove it either way.
Years later.
Right. Hey, Vern, what do you think? Vern.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Whether it was working or not, I don't know. I've seen some pretty weird stuff in my time. I've lived in a house that had apparitions that actually I think ended up following me home, and probably are still with me today.
Do you have an image issue there, Vern? Because all we see is your avatar. There you go. That's better.
What's going on with? Okay, that one's the.
Oh, that's fine. You're good there.
Yeah.
That's better.
No, it's still pasty, huh?
Yeah, it's all right. Look at me. I'm pastier than you. Okay. In regards to what you saw in that house.
In the house the haunted house, we'd have to have a whole show for that, dude.
All right, that's fine. But I have one question about it, and I've heard the story before, so I have a question. What is it that originally made you believe in the afterlife, in ghosts? What was it originally that made you believe?
When I was watching that program that came on the TV when we had no channel. We couldn't get any channels, and it came in crystal clear. And it was on that PBS station, and we were talking about the land that was just down the street from me, and then pointing up at my house and saying, that's where we believe the shaman were buried above ground, or above burial ground. It was a burial ground. She was pointing right at the house I was in. And I'd been through all the shit, and I was like, holy fuck. You know, it was like, wow, they like told me right out flat. I mean, they made that possible. They told me, yeah. And I was like in a state of just like awe, you know, like then I knew they didn't mean me harm because they were communicating to me, and they didn't like scare other people out of there. They scared people out of there. Like I told you, they ran out of that place, left their cigarette. The cigarette they bummed off me was they were like bums. You know what I mean? They didn't leave nothing. And whatever, right. Never came back in. You know, these are people that made their rounds. You know, and be scared like that. They must have seen something. I don't know what they saw. Maybe it was the Minotaur. I don't know. The Minotaur was pretty scary.
So I got to ask the people in the chat, Renee and Weavok and Space Cow and DB Cooper, if they believe, along with us on the panel, that there might be a connection between the paranormal, like ghosts and spirits, with UFO encounters. What about that? What do you guys think about that? Anybody have a comment in regards to that? Jax?
Jax doesn't believe in it. We all know what Jax believes.
I think there's a definite, there could be. Sure.
Any idea of whether, see, I've always thought that perhaps some, if not all, alien life forms, if they're actually real and visiting Earth, could possibly be resonating on a different frequency, and that's why we can't always see them. If that's the case, and they say that when you pass from one energy level to a different energy level, so you're passing into a different frequency, maybe there is a connection there between the possibility of alien life resonating at a frequency and the afterlife. Maybe they have some type of control.
Tell me, Tim, have you ever heard of the Watchers?
Yes, I have.
That's probably one you should do a program on then.
Okay, well, I'll do some research into that.
What you're talking about, actually, I think that's what they are.
The Watchers?
The Watchers, I think the Watchers are there to indiscriminately gather certain souls or whatever on their way out of here for other reasons.
Yeah, see, that's what I heard. I heard there's a group of aliens that actually, not aliens in the sense of space aliens, but beings that are not from Earth.
Right. Well, you're talking about this. I think that the problem is that we're trying to say aliens, and then we're trying to say paranormal. I think what we are missing is that there's an end term, and what we forget is what I think the term is divinity. Okay, there's these divine beings that obviously have been here before, and they represent themselves as being something other than an alien and other than a spirit. You know, but it's like in between the two, and I think that's where you get the mixing of the two. People, you know, they immediately jump all over like the graves and say, "Oh, they're demons and all that." We have no idea what they are.
Right, we have no idea. No,
I mean, obviously, something looks kind of bad or creepy or evil, and they like goo coming out of them and stuff. You're kind of going to be a little bit more, you know, apprehensive. But if you're going to, you know, the most beautiful people in the world could be the most evil people, or in the universe. You know what I mean? You just never know. You know, it's one of those things. They say Lucifer was the most beautiful angel, and he was the one that they struck down, and you know what I mean? So Lucifer came up to you, and you think, oh yeah, he's a divine, he's a good guy, you know, but he's, you know, he is what he is, right? If that's true. You know, I'm just saying that, you know, people jump to conclusions and use religion in such a violent and unethical way at times that it makes it really hard to follow religions, because religions only end up with fanatics
in charge of them, it seems like, you know, and then they lead everybody down into this like ridiculous road of nonsense and ignorance. And meanwhile, most of these people are collecting to the bank on these people's ignorance and fears. So be really careful about how you label things, because, you know, if I was a being that was advanced and I came down here and you thought I was a demon and started attacking me, it would be pretty, you know what I mean? It would be a bummer, you know, give the guy an opportunity at least, you know. I mean,
Right. Yeah, I've heard about the beings that are supposedly shepherding souls from one frequency to another to help human beings ascend and reach a higher level of being. And so maybe those are the watchers. I will definitely look into that.
well, I'm just saying, like you know, once again, that they're supposed to help the people in there. How do we know they're supposed to help you? You know what I mean? Be cautious. They always say, you know, go to the light. You know, when you die or whatever. You don't want to go to the light. So, you know, it's like I'm all screwed up now. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. You know, I guess you go by your instinct, right?
Right. Okay. Anybody else have anything to say about the paranormal or the connection between the paranormal and UFOs?
I don't know. When you observe sheep in the slaughterhouse, that's where you got to be real careful about following the other guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So to kind of have a little bit of a summary here, there is a connection between Bigfoot and UFOs. There is a connection possibly between the paranormal, like spirits and ghosts and UFOs. So as we now know, the UFO genre is also part of the paranormal genre. So anytime that you see a paranormal channel, you can realize that we're all researching the same thing. UFOs, spirits, cryptids, etc.
Higher reality, I think, is what it is.
A higher reality, yes, a different consciousness.
Right.
We're all trying to become enlightened, think out of the box. Most people are looking down at their phone. In fact, I find it incredible that with the new technology we have, what do you see people doing? They're looking down at their phone. If they were to put their phone down for a little while and look up, you might actually see something.
Be surprised what's up there.
You'd be surprised. Yes, I would say so. Vern, you got something to say there?
No, I was just looking up with my phone. See,
you're looking up with your phone. Okay.
Doing the selfie thing, working it.
Working it. Yeah. Okay. Hey, DB Cooper, you got anything to say about our subject matter?
Why don't we bring him on and he can talk about what we're going to do in the future?
Hey, Alex, why don't you come on? I'll put the link out there for you.
Because what are we going to do? We're going to go on a haunted festivity. We're going to hit all the most haunted places in Nevada, in Virginia City, anyways. But, you know, there's a haunted place in Dayton too. I'm trying to think of what it is. I'll have to look it up. But Dayton's right next to where we came. You know, right where we're at mine house. If we move down the road just a little bit further instead of turning there, that's Dayton. Yeah, that's really old too. That's one of the first settlements in Nevada too. The Mormons came through and all that. And then also where I live, Genoa, there's two places over there. The Mormon station is the first settlement, and the bar apparently has a lot of stuff going on in it too. It's the oldest bar in pretty much the United States, if not the world. It's been in continuous. It has a dirt floor. It's still in operation. But it's been in operation since like the 1870s.
Can you tell us anything about the Washoe Club, Jax?
Well, it was built around 1862, Vern, I think.
Yeah. It's old. And it's two buildings. It's not like one building. They like built buildings together. It's a weird freaking building.
Yeah, the original building was built in 1862. There is a lot of paranormal activity inside the building. One of the most famous. A lot of people don't like this particular show, and I really don't like giving them credit, but I'm going to anyways. Ghost Adventures had gone there, and this is even before the show even came out. It was a little documentary that put out called Ghost Adventures. It was their first investigation as a team that spawned the TV show. What had happened is that they had an infrared camera up on the second floor in the ballroom, which just so happens to be that was part of the Millionaires Club. Now, the Millionaires Club, obviously, you had to be a millionaire. What they had caught was Nick standing in the middle of the ballroom, and then he exited to his left to go out the door. Not even 5 seconds later, you see something walking, like a transparent figure walking right behind him, right through where Nick was just standing, and follow him out the door.
Wow.
That is the most compelling evidence that I've seen outside of, say, like myself.
And that was the Washoe Club?
That was at the Washoe Club.
And weren't you there recently investigating?
No, we went there on a tour.
Oh, you went there on a tour. Okay.
So there are plans set. We're going back in about a week or so. Might be, probably somewhere around like Friday, Saturday. We'll be heading back out to be locked in all night long at the Washoe Club to investigate.
And this is a Millionaires Club?
It was, yes.
And Vern, aren't you going to be there?
Yeah.
Can't see your eyes. You got to look up.
And so is Mr. D.B. Cooper.
And so is Mr. D.B. Cooper. Okay. And so we're going to have two of the people that are on the panel and one that's in the chat do a live investigation at the Washoe Club, and let us know perhaps next time what their findings are. But we are all out there researching UFOs, the paranormal, and such. So all I can say to everyone in the chat is keep an open mind. Look up from your phone once in a while. Look outside the box. Experience the unreal. And you will discover things that will really blow your mind. I think what we're going to do is say good evening to everybody on the panel. And Vern, are we going to have an after party show on your channel? Okay, we're going to have an after party show on VERNVISION Truth Network. If anyone is interested, please feel free to come on over to Vern's. We will talk about all kinds of things there. Vern, you got a link? I can't hear you.
It's already posted.
Okay, it's already posted. Okay. All righty. So we'll see everybody over at VERNVISION Truth Network. Thank you for coming. Thanks to everybody in the chat for being patient with us at the beginning of the live. Sorry for the difficulty. We are still trying to work things out on StreamYard. Hopefully it'll be better next time. Good night and take care.
Good night, all.
Good night, everybody.